Thank you for joining us today for a countdown to VISTA service. Just to do a really quick audio check, if you could quickly type in the chat if you can hear me. I want to make sure that we're projecting loud and clear. So hopefully all is well. Just to let you know as we get started, this webinar is being recorded. If you object, please disconnect at this time. Before we get started, I want to review a few quick things about the Skype classroom so that you can get the most out of the session. The audio for this webinar is being broadcast by phone and online. The audio through the Skype meeting defaults to an audio broadcast through your computer. If you would like to call in, it's a lot easier and probably works better. You'll want to call the number at the top of the slide. If you have trouble with the audio broadcast or would like to participate in the verbal question and answer at the end of the webinar, you will need to call the phone number listed at the top of the slide. All phone lines are muted to reduce background noise. Also, to share an idea or resource, or to respond to one of the session activities, use the conversation panel to the left of your slides. If you do not see the conversation panel, click the speech bubble icon in the bottom left corner of the screen as illustrated on this slide. You can ask a question at any time during the presentation by typing it into the Q&A panel. The tab for the panel can be found in the left corner of the screen, just above the conversation panel. All questions you ask in the conversation panel will be available for everyone to see once they are answered. Resources we mention in today's presentation will be posted on the VISTA webinars page of the VISTA campus, along with the recording of the webinar about a week from now. You will receive an email once the files are posted. And we'll begin in just a moment. Hello, and welcome to VISTA Service. This is the first webinar of your orientation countdown to VISTA Service. Your VISTA Service is a year-long commitment, and this time before you start service is meant to be a time where you can learn about service and your benefits and really ensure that this is the right choice for you. I am Eric Powell.
And I'm Jessica Birch.
And we are here from VISTA headquarters in lovely Washington, D.C. It's almost cherry blossom time. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
From the looks of the chat question before we started, my guess is that a couple of you have just dialed in by phone and did not join by the computer. That's okay. We prefer you to also see the visuals, but if you are just joining by phone, you can still listen to the information we're presenting. But just to quickly say, at the beginning we talked about what motivated you to join service, and some people said they were motivated for social justice.
Wanting to be part of something bigger.
Absolutely.
Eric, you were a VISTA. What made you want to join?
I really just, in my gap year between grad school and undergrad, I really just wanted to make a difference, kind of like Patrick said in the chat, just to be something bigger and do something really, really good. So what about you?
Well, sorry, for the way that you said that, it sounded like you went to grad school first and then you took a gap year and then did your undergrad.
Knowing me, I probably did things backwards. Who knows?
I wanted to do something kind of similar. I wanted to be part of something bigger. I wanted to do something with meaning behind it. And that was after I ended school. I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, so let me do something that has importance to it. So that's what brought me to VISTA.
And look where it led you now, to working for a federal organization in Washington, D.C.
With my, greatest friend right here, Eric Powell.
Oh, that's so nice. So as you can see, we have a lot of fun, and we expect and want you to have a lot of fun in your VISTA service as well. So in the next few weeks, you will be showing up, well, I shouldn't say next few weeks, it's in 6 days. Your first day of service is Monday, March 19th. You'll be showing up to your project to begin your VISTA journey, which leads us to the first important piece of information. So the objectives for this session today are we're going to be talking about what specifically you need to do to make sure you enter service properly and effectively, what you'll need to do on your first day of service, March 19th. We'll talk briefly about housing and relocation for those of you that qualify. We'll explain the criminal history check process, and we'll have time at the end for questions and answers.
Thank you, Eric. So before you arrive, so your first day, as Eric said, is next week. It's less than a week away, but there are a few things that you need to do before you actually arrive at your site. So You should have received an email from my.americorps.gov, which is our lovely system, and it pointed you to the Starting VISTA page of the VISTA campus. If you haven't checked it out already, please do so. But we're going to go ahead and talk about a few things on there that you need to complete. So once you're on this site, you're going to see a couple of links to completing your forms, which are on my.americorps.gov, such as direct deposit, W-4, and making sure you select which end-of-service benefit you'd like. Then there's also courses and tutorials that are found on VISTA campus themselves, such as the Terms and Conditions of Service course, Civil Rights and Responsibilities, learning more about your benefits of service, learning about the mission and legacy of VISTA, an overall overview of the VISTA campus, and then we want you to test your knowledge, see how well you absorbed all that information in there.
We do expect you to be in the office of your VISTA project, again, on your first day of service, which is this coming Monday, March 19th. So make sure you make plans and have that all arranged. For those of you who are relocating, make sure that you are moved into your new homes by then, because, again, you have to be starting service on Monday, March 19th. If you do have any issues with that, you can put it in the chat or let us know by email, and we'll take care of that. But one question we have, and you can post it in the chat if you have an answer, is do you know where your office is located? You can just simply respond by yes or no. We'd just like to get a very quick poll to find out, are you sure you know where you're supposed to report on Monday? Because that's a very important piece of making sure that you get to your site on time and to the right place.
That's great. We already have Jessica here, and no, it was not me, Jessica. A different Jessica wrote in the chat that yes, she does know where she's going. We're getting yeses so far, no nos.
Okay, well that's good. And on that note, before we move to the next slide, make sure that if you do have questions about where to report, what time to report, what the dress code is, things like that, make sure you reach out to your supervisor by phone or email. I would recommend doing it right after this call. That way your supervisor knows you're excited and eager, but you can also make sure that you are well prepared and informed to start service properly on Monday, March 19th. Along with your new supervisor support on the first day, VISTA headquarters, where we're reporting from, will present a webinar for you on Monday, March 19th at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Please make sure that you adjust for the correct time zone. Again, it'll be at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. The registration link for the webinar can be found in the Guide to Entering VISTA Service that you received via email last week. In the webinar, we will highlight certain points and decisions you must make about your benefits and your terms of service as an AmeriCorps VISTA member. Please note that this will not be a comprehensive overview of your benefits, because we trust that you have reviewed the benefits page of the VISTA campus, or will do so before Monday, and we trust that you understand the benefits and the details around them. On Monday, March 19th, at your 3 p.m. webinar, we will also administer the oath of office. There is an official oath form, which is a legal document that needs to be completed by you, as they will describe information that we need to activate you for service. I will quickly interject and say, please do not fill that form out now. You should get that form on Monday, but wait till Monday and we'll give you instructions as to how to fill it out. Your supervisor will have the form and will give it to you on Monday, and we'll talk more detail about what the oath means. Until we have the form completed correctly, we cannot start you in service. We cannot pay your living allowance or activate your benefits. So just make sure that on Monday, when we talk about the oath, you follow the instructions carefully, and we'll get you taken care of as quickly as possible.
That's right, Eric. So we kind of talked about what they have to do ahead of time.
Yep.
Talked about what to expect on their first day, but what about those people who are like relocating? So if you're relocating to a new community, you're definitely not alone, and there are some benefits that we provide to you if you are relocating. So for those of you who are relocating more than 50 miles from your home to your service site, you may qualify for a relocation travel allowance and a settling in allowance. You should have received communication about this already from the VISTA Member Support Unit. So if you haven't and you think that you're eligible for relocation assistance, you should contact the VISTA Member Support Unit via the National Service Hotline, and we'll give you that number here in just a little bit. Once you start service, for those of you relocating to serve, you're going to get a reimbursement voucher posted to your my.americorps.gov account that will include instructions on how to print it, sign it, and then send it back into the VISTA member support unit. Once they receive it, you'll receive that reimbursement about 6 to 8 weeks after we receive it. Also, does everybody know what their living allowance is going to be? Just another one of those yes or no. Anybody unclear about how much their living allowance is going to be? Let's take a quick look here and see if anybody's typing yeses. Okay, Jessica's on top of it. It's the name thing.
It's true.
This is the Jessica. She knows what she's going to get. Calvin also knows what he's going to get. Thank you, Calvin. Let's see. No, I'm assuming there's not like no's. There's yeses that are coming in. Few are trickling in. That's totally fine. Patrick knows. RH knows. Great. So for those of you who maybe are shy or have a no but you can't type it in, if you do not know how much your living allowance is going to be, you should talk to your supervisor. They will be able to tell you how much you're going to get paid. You can also look at the pay rates by county spreadsheet that we have on the VISTA campus that'll let you know how much you should expect to receive biweekly every 2 weeks. Also, speaking about that, is you do get paid every 2 weeks. And your first living allowance payment is going to be on April 6th. So your first day of service is March 19th. Your first living allowance payment is going to be April 6th, and it's going to be for 13 days of pay. You're starting 1 day into a pay period, so you're going to get 13 days, and then from then on out, you'll get 14 days worth of pay. You as a VISTA member may supplement your living allowance by working part-time, as long as your supervisor has agreed that it doesn't conflict with your VISTA service. As long as it doesn't conflict with your VISTA service and that your VISTA service is your priority, and as long as it's not at the same place or with the same organization that you're serving as a VISTA. So you can find out more information on the VISTA campus. Under Life as a VISTA, there is a whole section about outside employment. There is a form to fill out if you want to seek outside employment that your supervisor will need to approve and sign off on. With regard to housing, the VISTA program is not responsible for securing your housing. However, if you are in need of housing, you should talk to your supervisor. They likely know the area and may be able to advise you on possible options, maybe even options other VISTAs have utilized before. You can also search our discussion forums on the VISTA campus to see how VISTA members utilize each other to find out housing in areas where other VISTAs are serving. You can take advantage of other housing options, but you should be aware of scams. I think we've all heard of those creepy scams.
It's true, unfortunately.
Some possible signs of scams are options that seem too good to be true. Like I think I saw one, it was like,
you're just too good to be true.
Oh, Eric, I could not take my eyes off of you right there.
That was bad.
But some offers are like, I saw a house at DuPont Circle in D.C. for $25 a month. That is too good to be true, yeah. Eric. Don't fall for it. Also, if email addresses are iffy or have spelling errors, like a lot of them. So just be careful of scams and talk to your supervisor if you need housing assistance.
And I'll quickly say that there's one more scam we found out that anytime someone says, oh, well, if you give us the first month's rent ahead of time, we'll tell you where the key is. That's a sign that you should not be giving money before they tell you anything like that. So as Jessica said, just be very careful and mindful.
Yeah, your housing should not be a scavenger hunt. They're fun, but not when it comes to housing.
Correct. So switching topics a little bit, we talked briefly about the criminal history check. So we'll go over a little bit of detail about it now, so you're prepared. You do have to get fingerprinted and undergo an FBI background check once you start service. Even if you've already been fingerprinted recently or by another program, you still need to get fingerprinted for AmeriCorps VISTA. And we do this so that we can protect the community members and the volunteers with whom we work. Before starting service, you created your My AmeriCorps application, and we expected you to fully disclose any crimes you've been convicted of. That includes everything except for parking tickets. So if you have not fully disclosed a crime in your application, then it is in your best interest to do so immediately after this call. You can send us an email at vistafingerprint@cns.gov to begin a discussion, and we'll post that email in the chat. Again, that's only if you have something that you did not disclose in your My AmeriCorps member application. Finally, there are 3 items that will automatically disqualify you from VISTA service. Those are any violence against a minor, any sexual offense in general, which means you would show up on the National Sex Offender Public website, or, I should say, and murder is the third automatic disqualifying factor. Any other criminal history will be weighed by your project, VISTA headquarters, and the corporation's state office to determine if you would be permitted to serve. It is best to be completely open and honest.
Thank you, Eric. So let's move on to talking about the VISTA assignment itself. So your VISTA assignment, every one of you should have a VISTA assignment description, or VAD as we call it. This is really where the heart of your VISTA service is. It tells you the overarching goals of your project. It explains the objectives that you're working towards during your year. And it also lays out those specific activities that you'll need to do to accomplish that objective and then those objectives up to that goal. All VISTA members should have a VISTA assignment description. If you don't have yours or haven't seen it, you can download a copy of it from your my.americorps.gov account. You want to make sure you have your VAD on your first day of service. And make sure it's in line with what you agreed to do in your interview. Your supervisor is there every day to support you with your VAD, and your CNCS state office is there to help you if you have additional questions. If you're unable to get in contact with your supervisor, you can contact your state office, and we'll let you know here on this next slide how to do that. So, VISTA service, we have a lot of support to provide you, and there's different people involved in this. Okay. So let's go through a couple of these. So first, you are the VISTA. That is you, the VISTA there. And over above you, the person who supervises you is your supervisor. They're there to support you in your day-to-day tasks. And it's important to keep your supervisor up to date with any changes in your plans. If your plans change and maybe you can't relocate at this time, or a personal circumstance prevents you from serving, please let your supervisor know as soon as possible. We also have your state office. So your state office is the CNCS, or Corporation for National and Community Service, office that oversees your project. They can be a great resource if you have any concerns about your project, or if there is a question about your project that your supervisor can't answer. You can find this by typing in, or you can always email them by typing the state abbreviation at cns.gov. So if Eric is serving in Texas, it'd be tx@cns.gov. You are also supported by VISTA headquarters, where Eric and I are, and a couple of other different folks. So the VISTA headquarters is myself, Eric, with the VISTA training unit, as also with the VISTA member support unit, or VMSU, along with other departments. The VMSU is a great resource for questions about your benefits. They can be reached through the National Service Hotline or at vmsu@cns.gov. Also, we have some great resources at vistacampus.gov and at my.americorps.gov. The resources on VISTA Campus, there is a great resources and contact sheet on the Starting VISTA page that you can download. It provides a list of topics you may have questions about and who to contact about them. It's a great resource, and we're going to post that in the chat so that you can access it. You can also manage your own support by taking time to navigate VISTA Campus and My AmeriCorps so that you're familiar with them and know where to go. And if you're ever in doubt, if you can't find an answer to something, you can always contact the VISTA Member Support Unit via the National Service Hotline.
So we know we've covered quite a bit of information, but we do want to take a little bit of time to answer any questions. It looks like most people have called in and are not on the actual chat, but if you have questions, you can again post them in the conversation panel, and Jessica and I will do our best to answer those.
We'll take a look and see how the questions come in through the chat. We have everyone muted to reduce that background noise, and it's a little difficult to unmute everyone with the hopes that everyone's muted on their own. So we're going to hopefully try to take questions via the chat or conversation panel. If you have called in or if you are on the chat but would really prefer to ask your question over the phone, if you're able to type your name into the chat, I may be able to unlock your phone so that you can ask the question over the phone. Let's see if anything is coming in, Eric. I don't know if there's any questions. While we wait here, I do just want to go back and just remind everyone about those forms that you need to complete. So before you arrive, as we said, you have those my.americorps.gov forms and your courses and tutorials. A few things I did want to note, because they are a little nuanced, is with regard to the starting VISTA page on the VISTA campus, the reason that you need to complete these now and look at these now is because this information is there for you to make an informed decision. A lot of these need to be done before you start and are locked in once you start. So your education award selection, for example, if you choose the cash stipend, you're going to be locked into that decision. But if you select the education award, you have more flexibility. You want to look at the benefits and your other tutorials on here so that you can ensure that you are starting service the most informed you can.
Absolutely.
Also, Eric, do you want to talk about that the nuance with the terms and conditions?
Hello.
Yes, so some people get a little tripped up when you're doing the terms and conditions. Make sure you are not logged into your my.americorps.gov account. You'll go to the vistacampus.gov website, log in or create your free account, log in, you take the terms and conditions course, and at the very end of the terms and conditions course, there's a link that will bring you to a special unique login page of my.americorps.gov. Only on that page do you log into your MyAmericorps account. It's an unfortunate one-way pass-through, and if you do it out of order, it will not work. Most people get it right, but as Jessica said, it is a legal and required course that you must take before we can activate you for service. We want to just make sure that you understand it. I will say, on the VISTA campus, there are also instructions that explain what I just said, so in case you can't find it or have difficulty, you can find it there.
Also, we also want to ensure that you receive the payments. So we talk about the living allowance. Direct deposit is really key here. All these forms and all these courses are important, but direct deposit is the one that trips most people up. Make sure that you have the correct information in your account. We've seen people mix up the writing an account number. We've seen people write their credit card number in the account number field. Just triple check it. It's better for you to triple check it now than not get your living allowance on time and then realize that it went to the wrong account or to an account that doesn't exist.
And really quickly, for those of you, I know there were quite a few people that joined well into this presentation. This was really a presentation to make sure you were prepared and well informed to start service on your first day of service, which is Monday, March 19th. So most people, it seems that they don't have any questions at this point, which is good. But again, as we were saying, if you do have questions about where to report, what time, what the dress code is, even important things like how much you get paid if you're not sure, please be sure to reach out to your supervisor today or this week so that you can make sure you're ready to go on Monday, March 19th.
I have a question, and sorry, I called in, so I'm not able to message. I have to keep calling in before I get muted. But with the team schedule, do we work 2 weeks in the hole?
Could you speak a little bit louder, please? It's hard to hear you.
Sorry, I said, do we work 2 weeks in the hole before we get paid?
Well, if in a minute, Jessica will bring the presentation back to the pay date schedule. So you do officially start Monday, March 19th. And just because of, as Jessica said, you get paid every 2 weeks because of our pay period cycle and when you're actually in our payroll system. So your first pay date is February 6th.
April 6th.
Sorry, April 6th.
April 6th.
So it's about 18 days. You get paid, I guess it's about 18 days after you start. So it's a little bit over 2 weeks, but that's also fairly common in other organizations we've seen just because it takes time to actually get you connected to our payroll system.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question.
As we wait another minute to see if there's other questions. Oh, did someone just have a question? Okay. As we wait another minute, I'll say, certainly I think all of you have received communication already from our colleague, Andy King. and you might have also received some from Jessica Burt. So if you have a question that's not related to your supervisor or just a really urgent thing that we're not able to answer on this call, as a last resort, you can always send a response email, and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible.
That's right. So, Eric, I think this is a very informed group. They know what's going on. They're ready for service on Monday. They're pumped. They're super psyched.
And I know they're really excited because before they start service, they're going to get ready for tomorrow, which is Pie Day, March 14th, 3.14, so make sure you eat lots of pie.
True. Pie Day is the best day. Enjoy some pie, pizza, quiche, ham.
That's true. Meat pies.
True. Cherry pie, any of it. We're big fans of Pie Day here, so we hope that you enjoy your own Pie Day. And while we say that, and while that's a great last note, we are going to end the presentation. I'm going to go to that last slide, which is we want to say thank you. This next week as you get prepared for service, what you're about to do is incredible. We salute you and we thank you for that service. Eric and I have both been VISTA members. A lot of our colleagues have been VISTAs. And we're so excited to see each new group of VISTAs come on. So thank you. Please reach out to us if there are any questions that you have. And we look forward to seeing you again on Monday.
Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.